Hello, welcome yet again, my friends, to a brand new video. Now, this isn't a review or anything, this is just an impromptu sort of discussion video. Now, I'm just watching a YouTuber that I've not watched for a while. I watched him. I've watched him for quite a few years, but I've not really been focusing on his channel as much within recently. But I've just come back to him again, called Alex Yu, the Raging Nation. I like his videos. I used to watch him mostly for the updates on the live action films, the filming, production, and everything of those films, and all that. And I used to watch his toy reviews as well. But yeah, so I'm just watching his newest videos that he's been uploading. I'm watching the New York Toy Fair 2020 video, and he's going through the new Studio State series reveals and things. So, I mean, obviously, I've already seen most of these, but I just want to talk about toys in general, Transformers toys. Now, I'm remembering to a time when there was a lot of problems. There's still problems now, but I think in comparison to what it was like, I think things are starting to go a little bit more in a better direction with quality within toys. Now, there was an issue with quality when it came, like build quality, and also the type of plastic that was used. Um, Obviously, when these toys were starting to come out, like from like G1, obviously with G1 you just take it for what it was, because they were quite interesting in proportion. They were kind of a bit all over the place. And throughout the G1 Toyland run, there was all sorts of different examples, and the Power Masters, and then you had the all sorts of weird figures within that line, but you kind of accept it for what it is. It was something. It was a something of its time, and over time things have moved on. But then you've got all the like the generations, the universe, Henke line, and all that stuff that came out in the early to mid 2000s. And then you started now all of a sudden, obviously, so yeah, you had the Armada, Energon, Cybertron, that stuff coming out in the 2000s as well. Um, Robots in Disguise 2001, all that stuff. So all those different examples, all of those lines had some really awesome example toys. Um, so I'm more or less talking about that throughout the timeline. There's been some hit and miss with build quality, plastic quality, and obviously not really being a true, not kind of looking as it should from like it represent so say like a certain character, how that character looks in the show or whatever, and then you get the toy and it looks absolutely nothing like it. There's still a little bit of that going on at the moment. I'm not going to deny that, but I think coming to 2020, well, not just 2020, I think for the last 3 years, personally, throughout um, the whole, oh, obviously we're on Siege now. We had Titan Returns, and then we had the one before. What was it? I've forgotten the line before, but the whole new generation line that's been going on for the past 2 or 3 years now. Um, so my point is, let me get to the point. What do you feel? This is the question I'm putting out there to you guys that collect. How do you feel about the current toys? What do you feel we are getting good we are getting for the money we're paying for the toys? Do you think um, we are getting a good product for the money we are paying out for them? Do you think Hasbro are finally listening to listening to the fans. I know I've noticed that the Takara toys are becoming a little bit more mainstream outside of Japan. I've noticed that I think Hasbro and Takara have become a bit more of a fine line deal between them, because a lot of these like studio series figures and for the movies and the live action films, and then there's other ones for like Siege and that. You know, we are getting in stores in the UK and other countries. We are getting Takara Tomy products rather than them more or less being all Hasbro. Yeah, you're still getting you're still getting Hasbro made Transformers toys, but it was starting to get a lot more of a bigger release for the Takara, because with Takara, for the most part, you had to go online through, say, Kapow or Big Bad Toy Store, whatever, whoever online source you use to buy your toys. Um, you once had to go through those sort of measures or means in order to get something that was exported or imported from Japan to America or to the UK or Europe or what have you. So that was a way for you to get the Japanese figures where they were more detailed and more paint apps to them and things like that. But I think now, personally, from my personal standpoint, the figures that I've picked up over the years, like throughout the new Generations line, the brand new Generations line, which was like, including Titan Returns, Siege, and the one before, all those, and and obviously even the movie toys are looking pretty darn awesome. You know, there has been some really nice examples of the live action toys in the past. With when the films are actually out and coming out, and the new toy line was out to kind of help promote the films. There was some really nice examples. I mean, I am a big fan of Barricade. I've been a big fan of that design and that toy since the '07 film, and I really love that character, that design. I also like the designs for Megatron as well. My favourite is the Dark of the Moon Megatron design, because I like the combination of jet and tank. I quite like that. I quite like that look. I think it looks pretty cool. Um, Optimus Prime to a point. I actually prefer the Last Night design for Prime. I just think he looks a little bit more slimline, and there's more curves to the alt mode, and he just looks more like well, obviously he looks a little bit more presence, but no, I mean, I like majority of the designs of the characters, and there's been some really nice representations in toy form for those characters as well. But there has been some real stinkers. I'm not gonna say no to that, but but no, I'm just kind of just thinking to myself, just reminiscing about toys in general, and thinking about a time when there was so much conflicts, not conflict, but so much of a big discussion going around from many different fans. People doing video responses to other YouTubers and to other video makers with their own personal opinions, and talking about toys and the quality of toys at one point in time. Like there was, though I can't remember whereabouts in the time frame, but I'm guessing it would have been about possibly around about uh, could have been about 5 to 6 years ago that this was happening. I remember making a few videos talking about toys and about the issues Hasbro were going through, where they seem to change because of how expensive the material, the material that they use to make the toys with. They seem to change from one type to a different type. And when they did that transition between the old type material and the new type material, we started to get products that felt really brittle, felt really brittle, felt really hollow, that very no density to it at all. It just felt cheap and nasty. And I remember that time pretty clearly, and that was a bad time. Yeah, again, there was some pretty nice examples. Again, we are still getting the odd figure that does have a little bit of too much hollowness, and you think, couldn't they have just done something to kind of maybe a flap or something that kind of closes that up. We still get that a little bit now, but for the most part now, currently in 2020, I feel that Hasbro. At one point, Hasbro weren't really thinking about the collector, the adult collector. They were thinking about, obviously, the larger margin. They were thinking about the demographic, which is kids, because end of the day, they are toys, and they are toys for kids. That is the main demographic that obviously Hasbro are going to focus on. Adult collectors are literally only about possibly 10% of the market compared to kids. So, understandably, Hasbro are thinking about kids when it comes to toys, obviously, because that is the whole idea. But I think now they are shifting that kind of mentality. And I think they are kind of starting to become more accepting of collectors. And I think now we are, obviously, now that they seem to have made some sort of must be some sort of new deal between Takara and Hasbro now, because we're starting to get a lot more of the Takara products in mainstream stores. Yeah, there's not many. Obviously, in Hull where I live, we don't have very many toys, new releases. Only very recently we've got some of the new wave of Siege figures, such as Spinister and a few others. So that took a while for us to finally get just that little bit of a wave in. For the most part, we've had mostly movie toys. We've had quite a lot of movie toys. Not everything, but we've had some. We've had some Titan Returns. Yeah, we aren't really getting very much, to be quite honest. And we're not the only place. Even America, certain states in America also have issues with stock. But yeah, it's just something for me. I think most of the toys that I've picked up over the past couple of years now, 2 to 3 years, I've picked some up and I thought, wow, this is really well designed. It it just really well designed. The plastic quality, or the material used to make the toys, the engineering and the mind process, the planning behind it, that toy seems to be 1,000 miles more ahead. Maybe that's been a bit too over the top, but it feels like they are starting to go in a direction where I think the toys in quality are starting to peak more compared to what it was like a few years ago, maybe about 5 to 6 years ago, when there was that lull of about two couple of years where there was a lot of toys that people weren't very happy with because they were, they felt really light and there was nothing to them. And also there was remember the whole debate about the new sizes of deluxe class figures and Voyagers. Because I remember there was the whole size scale things. You had your mini bots, then you had Scout class. They brought out like a Scout class. They had Legends, Scout, Deluxe, Voyager, Leader. Now they've got Ultra class, and then they've got, I think, is it Mega class? I don't know, like your big Titans, which are like your Metroplex and your Fort Max and things like that, and your Omega Supremes and things like that. So yeah, so now they've completely rechanged the whole class scale structure compared to what it was like before. You still get the odd little mini bot, but the mini bots aren't actually mini. They're like actually the size of a scout, an old scout, in my opinion, about the size of these guys. Just to give you an example, about that size. Oh shit, I'm dropping it. That's not good. There we go. But yeah, personally, I'm actually very, very. I mean, even the masterpiece figures as well. I mean, it's very rare. There has been a couple of QC issues with some masterpiece over the time. Like there was the whole issue with the Hot Rod Rodimus. I think there's about maybe two, maybe I think there's two or three masterpiece versions. The first release, there was massive QC issues, it breaking really easily. There's still a little bit of that now. I've heard like rumours about the masterpiece Megatron, Beast Wars Megatron, that there's, you've got to be very careful because if you force something, it does actually break. There was recently there was a little bit of a QC design issue on the new grapple for the Siege for the new Earthrise mode toy series, where the ports are a bit too long and people were getting them stuck and they were snapping off. That's not a massive issue because most people have managed to kind of fix that problem either by filing them down a little bit, so reduce the size of them, so you just file them down a bit. Or like my good friend Brad, Exilian XLR, he did a really clever thing with using magnets and using magnets for the ports as well. So that's actually a really clever little idea. But yeah, I just wanted to do this. A little yammer, chinwag, if you will, talking about toys and where I currently stand with the toys at the moment. I'm not going to say here that there still isn't any really poor examples of toys coming out in 2020 or whatever over the past couple of years. There has been. But for the ones that I've personally held and done videos on and had in my collection, some of them I've had to sell, not because I don't like them, it's because there's some toys that I've sold because I needed the money. Because obviously I lost my job. I lost my job and I was out of work for a bit, and I generally had no choice but to sell some figures to help me buy. That was the only reason I've sold most of my collection. But I'm starting to rebuild now, so there's some toys I would like to get back. But no, I'm really quite impressed. Other people may vary. I know some people are starting to go away from the official Transformers and going into the third party side of things, or knockoff, because obviously you got the knockoff thing and then you got the third party. So there's some people that prefer that because obviously they feel that the money that they're paying out for a third party figure, they're getting a bit more better quality, like build quality, plastic quality, detail, etc. Now, I'm not going to say nothing against that. If anybody wants to pay their money for third party figures, they are well in their right to do so. I myself I actually quite like the third party toys. I've had some really nice ones. I've had some from Zeta Toys. I've had some Zeta Toy figures. I've had some toys from Mastermind Creations. I've just got these guys from the flipping hell was the forgot the name of them. I've got the box here actually. Where are we? Iron Factory. There we go. So yes, I've dabbled over the years with third party, and I've got no problems with that. But I do like to support the official thing, and I do like to still support the franchise and still buy official toys as well on the occasion. But yeah, I'm actually really impressed. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys feel about the toys currently? Anything that you've picked up? Do you think from maybe a few years ago, do you think there's some sort of a increase in quality compared to what it was like? Or is it about the same for you? Or are you just generally not really interested in the current stuff and you're more, again, like into third party or whatever you? Let me know. Comment below. Let's get a conversation going. If you want to, by all means, do a video response. I'd love to hear some actual proper responses as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Stay awesome, stay safe, and I'll be back very soon.